Iraq's financial crossroads, oil, banking reforms, and global currency impacts. In 2025, Iraq's financial turning point. In 2024, Iraq finds itself at a critical financial crossroads. With oil exports rising, new international agreements on the table, and evolving banking strategies, the country's economic trajectory may be poised for a dramatic shift. For investors, analysts, and currency watchers tracking the Iraqi Dinar, IQD, and its potential revaluation, these changes represent both opportunity and risk. This in-depth article explores Iraq's recent financial developments, including key trends in oil production, the influence of US financial sanctions, the role of the Kurdish region, and the Central Bank of Iraq's CBI efforts to connect to the global banking system. We will also analyze what these developments could mean for the IQD, Iraq's international reputation, and the country's long-term financial health. Chapter 1. Iraq's oil exports and exchange rate speculations. The Franc 26. Insight: oil exports tied to exchange rate changes. Renowned analyst Franc 26 recently sparked widespread discussion with his claims that Iraq's oil exports via Turkey may be tied to a revised exchange rate. While this hasn't been confirmed by official channels, Franc 26 pointed out that oil flow would only resume under certain financial terms, possibly hinting at a restructured currency rate tied to oil exports. This concept isn't entirely far-fetched. Oil is Iraq's primary revenue generator, and tying oil exports to a new exchange rate could provide more financial autonomy and potentially reignite investor confidence in the Iraqi dinar. Economic signals from the Development Road Project. Financial commentator Militiaman has emphasized the Development Road Project, a critical infrastructure initiative aimed at connecting Iraq with Europe via Turkey. This project is more than just roads and railways. It's a symbolic and strategic effort to place Iraq back at the heart of regional trade. With such long-term infrastructure investments gaining momentum, the potential for economic diversification grows. These projects could reduce Iraq's dependency on oil while attracting foreign direct investment (FDI), especially if accompanied by stable financial policy and currency revaluation. Chapter 2. Strengthening regional ties. Kuwait's e-visa for Iraqis. One of the lesser publicized but symbolically powerful developments is Kuwait's decision to allow Iraqi citizens to apply for electronic visas. According to Guru CLA, this move represents a turning point in Iraq-Kuwait relations and paves the way for deeper regional integration. This change has implications beyond tourism. It opens new opportunities for cross-border employment, trade partnerships, and diplomatic coordination, which can enhance Iraq's economic diplomacy and contribute to a more robust financial network across the Gulf region. Chapter 3. Iraq's oil ambitions and global output rankings. Increasing production to 7 million barrels per day. Market strategist Marcus recently revealed Iraq's plans to ramp up oil production to 7 million barrels per day BPD. With Brent crude oil hovering around $75 per barrel, this could mean Iraq earns upwards of $1.6 billion annually from oil revenues alone. That's not including income from other sectors like natural gas, tourism, agriculture, light manufacturing combined. These sectors could propel Iraq into the top 20 fastest-growing economies if properly leveraged and supported by sound fiscal management. The GDP growth connection. The GDP of any oil-producing country correlates heavily with both production output and price stability. If Iraq can maintain consistency in both and reduce dependence on US dollar settlements, more on that later, the country could redefine its global economic standing. Chapter 4. Iraq's banking sector in transformation. Central Bank of Iraq's global dialogue. The CBI has initiated high-level meetings with both domestic financial stakeholders and international powerhouses like the US Federal Reserve. These talks are focused on expanding Iraq's access to the global financial system, a step necessary for attracting foreign investment and stabilizing the dinar. The goal, to reduce Iraq's reliance on correspondent banks and move toward digitized, sovereign financial independence. Transparency amid speculations. Amid reports that some Iraqi banks were restricted from handling US dollar transactions, the CBI has responded by urging the public to follow only official communications. This transparency is vital. Misinformation can trigger panic, harm currency value, and discourage international banking partnerships. Chapter 5. Kurdish Region's Economic Leverage. Kurdistan's new oil export quotas. Kurdistan, which controls a significant portion of Iraq's oil reserves, recently agreed to new oil export quotas under federal oversight. This is a key signal of national unity and economic cooperation. If this cooperation continues, Iraq could ensure more predictable oil revenues, reduce internal political conflict, present a unified front to international lenders, impacts on national financial stability. A stable and cooperative Kurdish oil policy could enhance Iraq's creditworthiness, attract multinational energy investments, and further solidify the Iraqi dinar's potential revaluation. Chapter 6. U.S. financial sanctions and their ripple effects. Iran's ban and its regional consequences. In a significant move, the Central Bank of Iran banned 5 local banks from conducting US dollar transactions, a decision that sent shockwaves through the region, including Iraq. These developments affect Iraq because of its historic financial entanglements with Iran, including cross-border trade and banking infrastructure. U.S. sanctions on Iraqi banks. The U.S. has imposed sanctions on several Iraqi financial institutions, citing links to sanctioned entities in Iran. This has had major consequences: reduced access to US dollar auctions, limited international trade capabilities, increased reliance on alternative currencies, Euro, GBP. Some affected banks include K and Iraq for Islamic Investment, Al Mustar Islamic Bank, United Bank for Investment. Chapter 7. Iraq's push for currency diversification, reducing dependency on the US dollar. In response to these challenges, the CBI has promoted the use of non-dollar currencies, encouraging international transactions in euros and pounds sterling. While this mitigates short-term restrictions, it also signals a strategic pivot toward currency independence, potentially a long-term move to strengthen the IQD Chapter 8, the bigger picture. Iraq's economic revival strategy, steps toward revaluation. All signs, rising oil exports, banking reforms, regional diplomacy, and infrastructure development indicate that Iraq could be preparing for a revaluation of the Iraqi dinar, IQD. However, this hinges on CBI policy consistency, improved international banking relationships, sustained geopolitical stability. Will Iraq overcome economic isolation? The next few months will be critical. Iraq must balance international financial regulations with domestic policy goals. If successful, the country could break free from economic isolation and emerge as a stable, growth-driven economy. Conclusion: what's next for Iraq's financial future? Iraq's financial journey in 2024 is filled with promise and peril. The global community watches closely as the country navigates sanctions, reforms its banks, boosts oil production, and realigns its currency policies. If Iraq plays its cards right, it could not only revalue the IQD, but also establish itself as a powerful player in the global economy. Call to action: stay informed with IQD to VND. Want to stay ahead of the curve on Iraq's economic transformation and currency revaluation? Subscribe to IQD to VND for regular updates, expert analysis, and detailed financial forecasts about the Iraqi dinar IQD, Vietnamese dong VND, and global economic trends. Let's reach 400 subscribers by the end of April. Hit the bell icon so you never miss a critical update.